Oumuamua. Okay, so today we're breaking down Oumuamua on my painting. And if you don't know what Oumuamua is, it's your loss. I feel bad. My name's Ben Zoltak. This is my YouTube channel, Bottomless Inkwell. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. And you may have seen this artwork someplace else. I was working on this recently and taking kind of a decadent approach to it, making some art for art's sake, which of course, if you look at the word decadent and what it means, it has more than one meaning, like a lot of words. A lot of times it's, first thing that comes to mind for me is chocolate, or a really expensive meal, something like that. But decadent can also refer to inferiority, or like breaking down, degradation, that sort of stuff. But anyway, so this is kind of decadent, just having at it, getting paint on the canvas, and that was that. But I've been thinking a lot about, of course, the Wendigo things, as I've been working on that the past few days. You know, I need a different brush. And I've also been thinking about Oumuamua. And what's interesting about Oumuamua, if you don't know, I should say what it is. It's an interstellar object. It's the first thing that's ever been discovered from another solar system coming into our solar system. And there's a lot of mystery behind it for different reasons. But Oumuamua in Hawaiian means the messenger who comes from far away and arrives first. I think it's really fascinating that the arrives first implies, of course, there's more coming. So, but one of the things that, you know, what Oumuamua reveals about people is their inclination to either minimize anecdotes, you know, on a topic, or to embellish them, but looking at it critically, I mean, it's interesting to listen to both sides of the story. So scientists, you know, think of Oumuamua as, I really need to paint. There we go, the wrong palette too. Of Oumuamua as a meteorite flying in from another solar system. But what I've listened to, different testimonials, and then also read a few things on Oumuamua, is that apparently its velocity changed in an unpredictable way as it approached our star. So here I'm going to get some this nice purple blue again, mix with a little bit of this. And why does that matter? I mean, if something's flying in from outer space, and here we go. So I do have an idea for all of this. Something's flying in from outer space, interstellar space. I'm going to make it as though it were starting out small and then getting larger here. There we go. Oh, I like those brush marks in there. Luscious looking paint. So I'm losing my train of thought. So something's coming in from outer space, and it gets around the star. You know, like Halley's Comet, that sort of thing. The velocity can be predicted with, you know, certain eggheads that are amazing at math and can look at that and go, okay, because of the gravity of our star and whatever other variables, you know, they can figure it out. So, boy, I don't want to even, I was originally going to just fill this in as a big monster here, but I just, it's making some really fine lines on the canvas that I want to leave for now. So Oumuamua is this really exceptionally long meteor coming in. And one of the theories I've heard is, and what's interesting also, just the theory itself is that, okay, it's either a meteor, so it's a dead rock, not necessarily dead. If you believe everything's alive, then, but anyway, it's coming in from outer space. So that is that. And then for some people, that's the end of the conversation, basically. Like, okay, this thing's coming into our solar system from very far away. But what's more fascinating to me is taking that, which is a theory, you know. I mean, there's sort of a knee-jerk reaction, I think, to just go, okay, yeah, that's the most likely thing, so that's what it is, and that isn't necessarily the case. So this Oumuamua is coming in from deep space into our solar system, and it's gone now. But the next step, of course, is what a lot of people will call a conspiracy theory, and it necessarily isn't. It's just, in this case, another theory. So it's inconvenient, though, for people who don't like thinking about these sorts of things. And I don't blame you if you don't like thinking about the plurality of worlds. You know, it's not easy for people to digest, really, for everybody. But I'm fascinated by it. So I mean, so were the forefathers, some of the forefathers of the country I live in the United States here. But anyway, so you can assume it's a rock, or it could be a spaceship, or it could be like a robot, you know, like an intelligent probe, if you will, coming in from another civilization somewhere else to come check us out. So those are some theories I've heard before, and anecdotes, and I like them. They're interesting. So these I'm putting in big fat stars here. What I'm going to do is imply outer space. Originally I was thinking of doing the whole thing outer space, but I've decided instead to imply it, which gives, because this is a kind of a petite canvas, and I used to not like working on petite canvases, but I've made peace with it. I understand that it changes the dynamics of the game here, basically. So, so by making this, implying outer space here, it gives me room to do the other thing I want to do here. But I don't want to lose my train of thought. So the two typical things, and of course this is a duality you hear all the time, just in all sorts of things, you know, in like cryptic, you know, what do they call them, like a cryptid community, that sort of thing, or you know, people who study objects that they can't decide what they are. So the typical thing is to say, yeah, it's either a rock or it's a spaceship, you know, or something. But in light of the Wendigo painting I was thinking of, and what I've been in the dream I had, and also listening to the scientists talk about how humans have their own magnetic field, you know, around our head. You know, mystics have called it an aura for a long time, probably thousands of years, your aura. And it's a very real, measurable, to some degree, measurable thing. And I imagine if it's magnetic, that means, of course, there's, you know, electrons involved, and whatever your aura is. And I'm getting off on another tangent here before I finish my last thought. But also, you know, on the quantum realm, there's probably an aura as well. So it's kind of a fascinating thing. Now, taking that idea from the Wendigo and our own personal electromagnetic fields and pulling it all the way over and giving it some aloha, you know, bringing it over here to Oumuamua. I thought this is the third idea, and I don't think anybody's thrown this up the flagpole yet as far as this topic goes. But breaking down Oumuamua, what if not only was it maybe, it doesn't have to be a spaceship, you know, unfortunately the word spaceship conjures up a lot of B-movie images in our mind. You know, we think of rubber suits of guys in funny looking warty outfits dressed up as aliens, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be that at all. It could be a super advanced, you know, interstellar probe, and it could be here. A lot of people think it's here to observe us. If you can go down that rabbit hole, even a lot of people can't. They just can't even think about it. But if you can think, okay, is it here to look at us? What if it's not here to look at us? What if Oumuamua is here to affect change? You know, I mean, what if it's got some kind of crazy quantum or magnetic technology that's flying through space and you know is here to change our minds essentially. So this is again not everybody's topic. Not everybody can go down this rabbit hole with me. I get it. I forgive you. But I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the works of Charles Fort. If you've never read Charles Fort, even just his life story is fascinating. He was a esoteric researcher. I think he was from England, if I remember right. Sit in the library all day. Happened to marry. He worked and then he married into just like the tiniest bit of money, not like a ton of money, just the tiniest bit. Where, if I remember correctly, it afforded him the ability to do all sorts of research on all sorts of crazy stuff. You know, like frogs raining from the sky, weird things in the sky. You know, weird cryptology type of things. Charles Fort is that fellow's name. But getting back to Oumuamua, so came through one of the other things I wanted to, before I forget, about the shape of Oumuamua. It's not by accident, as far as if you're taking this and looking at it from the point of view of it possibly being something that was created by intelligent life somewhere else. So this Oumuamua shape here, which I'm just going to double check, make sure I'm not getting any. I love drips, and I love it sometimes when they drip any which way they want to drip, but then sometimes they don't drip the way I want them to drip. So like one of my favorite painters, Jack the Dripper, he was big on willy-nilly, Jack the Dripper, and of course talking about Jackson Pollock. But I like it. It's looking kind of vaginal there too. Lovely. Okay, that's great. So I don't know proportionally if this matches up to what they saw with Oumuamua. I've seen some images, so I'm just going through with the residual of that images in my mind. But here is Oumuamua. So we got Oumuamua coming in from space, and I'm getting ready to fly through the Earth. And I have all of these things from this other night, this other session painting this. And I hesitate to talk about some of the details of this, only because, well, I should just talk about it. I don't know. I mean, you know, it's a lot of times where you feel like you give everything away. And if you give everything away, there's no magic left, right? There's no mystery left. And also, it helps to, I don't know where I'm going. It just keeps, but anyway, I'm just going to talk about, this is here for a reason. Let's put it that way, okay? So you could do this. Oh, okay, so that reminds me of one other thing before I go on to the next part of this painting. And I hope this video isn't getting too long. I should probably check on it. Let me see. Yeah, I have no idea because it's covered up by the tripod. I'm going to keep going with this. So, I had some interesting thing I was going to say with that other part, but I can't remember now. Oh yeah, you can do this. So that's kind of a lot of times I panic when people ask me about creative things. I think a lot of us do. You know, we feel like we're put on a spot. We know we have all these intelligent, bright, clever things we want to talk about with whatever our passion is. Sometimes somebody asks us, and it's like we're like a deer in the headlights, right? But anyway, so one of the differences I think between modern art and the difference between modern and contemporary is something you could also spiral around and talk about. But I'm talking about the breakaway from classical art, where using non-local colors, not illustrating the object in front of you in a way that's common, but illustrating it using dynamics and visual mechanics that are a little bit not so direct, I guess is one way to put it. That one of the big cleaves, I guess you would say, with modern art versus classical art is that anybody can do it, or so it appears, right? It's something clearly you can't. I mean, this, right? I mean, you look at this and you go, well, of course anybody could do that. But then I've made artwork where you can't. I mean, or at least if you look at it and go, wow, I don't think I could do that. I've had people say that to me, like, I couldn't have done that. How'd you come up with that? That sort of thing. But this step, of course, you could do. In fact, you look at it, a lot of people look at it, and this is another thing with modern writing, and it almost makes them upset. You know, wait, why are you I can do it. Anybody can do that. We can do that. But there's more to it than that. Definitely for me and what I want to do with my artwork, you know, it's for one thing, what's wrong with the fact that anybody can do it? You know, I mean, I was going to make a sports analogy. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm leaving that one lie. There's nothing wrong that anybody can do it, but for me, where the interplay comes in and where skill comes in, experience comes into play, is taking either of two things or three things, four things, but two of the main things that really stick out right now as I'm thinking about it are that you can either celebrate the mark making, you know, this human being making marks here, and it's the gestural thing that you're getting an appetite for, or the aesthetic of making a mark, you know. And I really am not trying to over intellectualize this. As I grow older, I realize I sometimes do that because I love words so much. I am a loquacious muv. But anyway, so it's great, you know, like the markings at was it Lascaux, France? I'm probably saying that wrong. Lascaux, France. I think is where some of the oldest artworks in the world are located, in these French caves. You know, and they're lovely. They're kind of stylized images of animals, an artist's hand, they're lovely. They don't look like photographs, you know. I mean, and photographs are their own thing, and they're lovely in their own way. But so that part, I'm not gonna make sure I get to the second part. But just the mark making aspect of it is one thing, and that isn't necessarily even deemed or claimed by modern artists. I think that that's been around for a long time. You know, different. I want to say like different Japanese and Asian, Chinese artists, and you know, over the years with like sumi brush and things like that, the marks are central to the meaning of the artwork. So, wish I knew more of the actual names of those artists, but I don't have those committed to memory. So the other part, and this is more for me, and it isn't necessarily that it's a modern art aspect, but maybe it is, because I do think that, or this is maybe where it starts to bleed into to the next thing, you know, and beyond whatever contemporary artwork is, because I think that there is a lot of conversation about what contemporary artwork already is. I was just talking to a guy yesterday about the differences between this, so this is why it's on my mind. But for me, it's sort of an oscillation back and forth. Actually, I've been reading about Schopenhauer, and I believe it's Schopenhauer, it talks about how humans oscillate back and forth between pain and boredom, and these these are the two things. For my art making, it tends to oscillate, especially when I'm digging into these things and really digging deeply into what I want my artwork to mean. It's oscillating between that mark making, which is, you know, fresh and off the cuff and very guttural and instinctual, to it really is going to the other spectrum of it, which is more meditative. And well, you know what? No, meditative is more the mark making part. It's more meditative mark making on the one end of it, and then on the other end of it, it's more building up of layers, is what I was going to say. So kind of like what I'm doing now, as far as just chatting, talking. So, and this is going to reveal a lot about my art making. It's just that you have this potent power that you can see in an artwork that's just boom, 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 a couple of marks, right? And you can just something about it, you know. Even you can tell it wasn't made. It didn't take long to make, you know, and you can just tell. But still, even though there was no time invested in it, it has like this just, you know, a powerful effect on you when you look at some artwork. And there we go. Darken this up quite a bit more up here. And that isn't, that what you're seeing there is the result a lot of times of tens of thousands of hours of creative strife or celebration, or, you know, and in a couple of snazzy marks. I have this painting of some skulls, and this one I'm thinking of a recent, I think it was, well, not that recent, I think it was from last February or something like that. And it was made in one session, you know, and I love it. It's a powerful painting. It's its own thing. Whereas some of my other paintings are these like vignettes of various meditations, and that's what I think this is. I think this is where this Oumuamua painting is going. So I want to get the key elements in here because I want to come back to it and possibly work on it again. I'll give it a little more color here too. And I'm really laying out my thought process with this. I can tell. I mean, these are some details I've been thinking about for years, and I've never had an audience, or never really had the ability to really express it other than maybe writing about it. But here I can do it. You know, I mean, basically this is live. I know it's pre-recorded, but it feels live to me because I'm going to commit this video, you know, upload it, and that'll be it. So it's a commitment of live action to me. But yeah, it's interesting to go through the details so specifically of what I'm doing when I'm making my artwork. Feels good. You know, I think like a lot of people, a lot of artists, you have this fear that you give too much away, then you have nothing left to pay the bills. So that is a fear. I feel like I'm this close to being able to have the artist life that I've really been aiming to have for a long time. And as far as just making artwork all the time, I mean, I've got a bunch of different ideas of how to do that, and they're so close. I hope I can make it work right. But that aside, back to Oumuamua. Breaking down Oumuamua. Break it down. The last element I want to do here. We've got Oumuamua. I'm gonna likely work on this a little bit further. But what I want to do, because I have other things I got to do today, but I need to get this idea down. While I have the colors working, I have the composition on the painting here, and I can't decide. I either kind of want to add planet to this, but I'm going to add figures, and I need this orange will work here. Yeah, I need to build up a little bit more paint here. Okay, so kind of a nice autumnal mud for paint here. So for me, it's rather than be so overtly and overbearingly direct about making, you know, art and what I'm trying to possibly convey, I prefer to have it be there to be some fluidity to it, and then also some forgiveness in what the artwork is and how it's interpreted. Now, a lot of people really don't like that idea either. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, though, before I forget, I'm putting this fella's nose over that way. And we're just going to start this guy off. I think he's going to have a hat on. And maybe he's rapping. No, I think he's just walking. So he's going to go this way. And what I need to do is I want to just get this a gestural image on here. It's partly like a journaling of visual journaling of what I'm trying to accomplish. And what I'm trying to accomplish with a lot of artwork is the exploration itself. You know, I am trying to illustrate the value of the journey, if you will. So it's the means, you know, that's what I'm enjoying here. But here I am making these notes, and what I mean by that is, okay, I'm putting the noses facing to the east, which doesn't mean anything while you're watching the video, I'm sure. But got another one here. Now this is a little bit closer up. And also this fella facing this way. Okay, so we got two figures facing there. I'm going to just make a hint of another one here. Off in the distance. A nice little quick gestural movement just to give some little something, some little hint. And of course I'm going to have to go back and add some shadow too. Not much shadow though, because obviously it's, well, not obviously, but it could be night since Oumuamua is visually appearing here. Okay, so we got three figures here, and then I'm going to add a figure here looking up. More or less. Now, even within this figure, I am relaxing as I'm making the artwork. Of course, I know perfectly well what a figure looks like. I made a painting when I was a kid one time of a friend of mine, and I did my best. You know, I was doing it the old-fashioned way, classic art making, you know, rendering, and it looked like this guy, you know. It looked this shape of this guy, and didn't look like a photograph, you know, didn't even look close, but I still kind of liked it. It came out kind of interesting. And the guy looks at it, he's like, "This is what you think I look like?" You know? Oh, and that stuck with me. It cracked me up, and it hurt my feelings at the time. Now that I think about it, it really bothered me. But now, like another one here. This we gotta turn around here. But now it makes more sense, and it's laughable kind of when I look back at it, because I was probably trying to make artwork that I thought that guy would have liked, right? Rather than it just being, I'm just doing what I enjoy. I'm not, you know, you can make artwork for somebody if they tell you, hey, this is what I like. You know, I'd like some artwork, I want you to put some watermelons in there, and I like to catch largemouth bass, so put one of those in there. You know, and you could do that, and if the person loves it and you love making it, that's great. But for me, I will absolutely work with people if they want a certain kind of artwork, But a lot of times I can just make my own and be in touch with what I'm doing on my own. So here we have 1, 2, 3 figures set in this painting. Actually, I'm gonna sneak one last little one here in the back. So we got 3 and 3. And I'm gonna make this guy, since he's so far back there, or gal, I'm gonna make this gal pointing to Oumuamua. And only because, and the reason these 3 are here, you know, kind of facing towards Oumuamua, is the effect that I was talking about in the beginning of this video. See, it all comes back. I brought this back around. So these figures are being affected by Oumuamua. And these 3 figures have not, Oumuamua has not yet reached these 3 figures. You know, and there may be, oh, I just dripped some. I want to get on these shorts. This is some good yoga shorts. So I also, before I forget, I want to signify it here with a little bit of this movement. So this sort of process of making artwork, you know, going through this inner dialogue about what's going on with my artwork, this is how I've always been doing it. I mean, as long as I've been making artwork, which I can remember making art when I was in kindergarten, which I want to say is what, 5 or 6 years old, probably before that actually, with my you know, being prompted by my mom and my grandma to make some, my grandmother, kind of like grandma, it's just more laid back, not so uptight, like, anyway, going off on another tangent. So I'm just making these as a last note to myself that in this dialogue, it would normally be an inner dialogue, but here I am on bottomless inkwell going on, and I know somebody's going to listen to this, and so the dialogue is now outward. I brought it out for people to listen to and look at. But this kind of thing goes on with a lot of my artworks. Just generally nobody is around to hear it. So I'm making this last little note here to signify those quantum or magnetic waves, you know, that are potentially affecting us from Oumuamua. And sometimes, you know, you gotta have a little levity, you gotta have a puerile moment if you've struggled for decades, you know, like many of us have, to make ends meet, to you know, keep the wolf at the door. You gotta laugh, right? I mean, it's Oumuamua, or it's an intergalactic vagina flying in from outer space, also affecting these figures, which is cool too. And I, speaking of intergalactic vaginas, I was thinking the other day of making some work that's a little bit more intentionally vaginal, built that shape. Because I mean, I have all these different shapes of paintings that I make, and I thought I haven't made one that has that lovely shape. So I gotta make some new paintings. I'm running out of canvas. I don't want to be busted on all those boring squares and rectangles. So yeah, look for vagina paintings here soon. Have I said vagina enough yet? But yeah, I gotta work on some new paintings, and so I'm gonna be stretching some of these soon, and I'll likely show some of that too on this channel. And this video has become very, very long, but thanks for listening to me break down Oumuamua. Hopefully you had a couple of laughs or enjoyed watching me work on this. It's not done yet, but it's getting close. So Ben out.